Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Enterprise Tech Summer Summit. My name is Nate Hinman, and I'm a co-director here at Plug and Play, overseeing our Enterprise Tech program. We're very happy to have all of you here virtually, so thank you very much for taking the time to join us. We established the Enterprise Tech program at the beginning of this year to address the needs our partners have in regards to finding technology for improving the efficiency and capabilities of their back office business units. For those of you who don't know us, this is our Enterprise Tech team. Our partners include banks, IT integrators, professional services firms, and telecommunications companies. We are very excited to announce British Telecom as our newest partner. BT is the largest telecommunications provider in the UK and is not only working with our Enterprise Tech program, but also our sustainability programs as they've launched a new green tech initiative. Many of you have likely seen this slide before, but for those who haven't, here's an overview of the focus areas of Plug and Play Enterprise Tech. We cover cybersecurity, finance, operations and legal, growth and customer experience, infrastructure and IT, human resources and talent, and big data and analytics. COVID has been a challenge for all of us, and we took it upon ourselves to provide information to our partners and the community through our COVID-19 webinar series. We hosted 3 webinars over the last 2 months. Our first was the Deskless Workforce, Supporting Remote Workers in a Black Swan event, which focused on technology enabling organizations to improve their remote workforce capability. Our second was Securing Remote Workers, which focused on cybersecurity tools we know that help organizations better protect their organization from cybersecurity attacks. Our third event was Contact Centers Ensuring Business Continuity at the First Line of Customer Service, which focused on tools to help organizations improve their customer experience. If you'd like to view any of these webinars, they are available on our website as well as our YouTube page. Now it's time to introduce our keynote speaker, John Nolan, who will speak about his role and how he sees the future of work. John Nolan is currently Group Human Resources Director for Hygiene, a company headquartered in Hong Kong, employing nearly 500,000 people in 50 countries spanning Asia, Europe, and the US. Prior to joining Hygiene, John worked for Unilever in the consumer goods industry and held various senior positions in global and operational roles. He has extensive international experience, having lived and worked in the USA, UK, Belgium, Singapore, and Hong Kong. John was educated in the UK and graduated from the London School of Economics and Political Science. In 2014, he was awarded the Fraser-Jones Award for his contribution in the HR profession. John is a keen sports fan and is an English FA qualified soccer coach. We are very fortunate to have John here today, so without any further hesitation, please welcome John Nolan.
So thanks so much for being here with us today, John. It's great to have you. Really appreciate the time. Aside from my quick introduction, I thought I would open it up to you to give a quick introduction on yourself and maybe just talk about a few things that you're working on as the Human Resources Director at Hygiene. I'm sure things today are a lot different, more different than they were, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, pre-COVID. So very interested to hear how a company like Hygiene is handling this situation.
Well, Nate, thank you for the introduction, and it's my pleasure to be part of the summit. So thank you. Yeah, I've been in HR. Gosh, as you said in the introduction, a number of years. And, I thought maybe I'd seen many things and what the world had to throw at us, but the last few months have certainly changed all that. I would say, I've always felt I went into HR because I thought HR had the ability or you gave you the opportunity to impact the organization in a really unique way and make a difference. But I think the COVID situation has really thrown the HR function and senior HR leaders really to the fore. And I think this is a moment where people are looking to people in my function and people in in all leadership roles actually, to help create some kind of understanding, some kind of meaning, some kind of way forward, and for how the world's going to look in the future. So of course, as a big organization like ours with more than 500,000 people, or around 500,000 people, the last few months have been, pretty much in crisis mode. And there's been many things we've been trying to do, which I'm sure everyone else has been trying to do, about keeping our people safe and keeping our businesses operational. But I think it's also a moment where the HR function has been asked to provide maybe something different, something unique, something that no other function can provide. And therefore, it's been a privilege for me to be, at the center of that, as we've thought about, what does that mean for ongoing operations? What does it mean for the way people work? What does it mean for the way people will come back to work when they do come back to work? What does it mean for the environments that we're all going to work in? What is the impact of technology going to be? And I think there has been a big impact of technology that we've seen in the last few months. And how's that going to play out over the next few months? What is the new shape of an organization, the design of that organization? I think everything has been thrown under the spotlight. And we're going to have to think very differently about how we do things. And I think that's exciting. And of course, this has been a terrible time for everybody in the world. And there's no getting away from that, whether that's the sort of terrible human tragedy that's resulted as a consequence of COVID-19, or the economic impact that's been, wrought everywhere that the virus has hit. Having said that, I think we've always got to try and stay positive. We've always got to try and look for silver linings. And I think there are some silver linings that'll come out of this. And maybe we'll come out of it, with things being done differently and being done better. And we can make the workplace and hopefully the communities and the societies that we all operate within better. So that's what I'm hoping. But, right now we're right in the middle of it, Nate. But I would say there's probably never been a more interesting time to be an HR in a big organization.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, thanks so much, John. I think we have a quick fireside chat. So we have about 5 questions I'd love to ask you. So if you're open, we can just get to that right now.
Go ahead.
Perfect. So John, as Human Resources Director, what have you learned about the current methods of managing talent as a result of the pandemic? Is it effective? Do you see the need to make changes to current managing methods? Just curious what your thoughts are there.
Yeah, so look, I think, if there's a headline around the whole COVID situation, I think it may be that it has accelerated some trends that were already there before. Mm-hmm. And, there was clearly a trend, not just, with consumers, with us all as customers or consumers, for personalization and customization. I think that has also been a trend in the workplace, where people are increasingly looking for, personalized experience of employment, rather than a mass one-size-fits-all experience of work. And I think the COVID situation has shown a light on that. I'll give you an example, which is that in this part of the world, I'm sitting talking to you today from Hong Kong, but we fortunately not been as badly affected as some other couple of periods where we've had people working from home for extended periods of time. And, I think one thing we've realized on the return to work is that, everybody wants to be treated differently. There are some people who can't wait to get back in the office and can't wait to sort of, get back at their desk. There's other people who are very cautious, who are very anxious. There's other people who have reprioritized the way they think about work, the way they think about their work schedule, and spend more time at home with their families, and therefore creating the environment for them to work flexibly or work where they want and how they want, I think has really been accelerated. So that's a good thing, because I think it's forcing us to think about people as individuals and think about what works for them. And I think also, hopefully, bringing to the fore more empathetic leadership and thinking more about what people want and what's going to, motivate them, other than thinking about people as a sort of a, homogenous mass. And I think that's a great thing. So, that's one thing that the COVID situation has definitely. I think another thing is that I think probably finally, if there were still any doubters that technology could be used in a really efficient way and people could work remotely without any noticeable drop-offs in productivity, I think, well, that dragon's been slain. And I think we've proved that to everybody and proved that to ourselves. Now, of course, there were some companies where that was never a question, but I think I'd be right in saying there's many companies around the world where that whole sort of presenteeism culture around being in the office was still there. And I think one of the positives of this situation is hopefully we finally broke the back of that, and people have realized that we can use mediums like the one we're using today, and it works perfectly fine.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some silver linings, and I think this summit, for one, we typically have 300 to 500 people joining us in our offices for these summer summits, and today we have about 1,400 people viewing this. So it's definitely enabled greater access to information, in addition to being able to work remotely. So another question for you. What policies have you put in place in response to COVID-19? So obviously new policies around remote working, but curious to hear, what are some of those policies that you've put in place and how they've been effective or maybe not effective?
So, we fortunately sitting in Asia, I think one of the advantages that some of the Asian markets had was that they have experienced something like this before. Certainly there's a lot of people who've got experience dating back to SARS, and so my sense of it is that people were a little more prepared. And so when it came to some of these policies, there was already some thinking had been done around, how to keep the office safe, hygiene practices, health advice. So, we've done a lot of things around that to make the office safe, whether that's sort of rotating teams to keep office density down, hygiene practices, temperature screening, all those sort of things. But I think they're probably pretty standard, and I think we'll see those in the rest of the world as we progressively see people, going back to work. I think they've normalized this notion that people can work flexibly and they can work where they want, how they want, when they want, as long as they are able to carry out their duties. And we've taken the opportunities to accelerate the shift to that and have introduced a formal policy to allow people to do that. Now, that might not sound like rocket science to many of the people who are listening in today, probably definitely the ones in Silicon Valley, but in some parts of the world, that's still culturally an issue, and we've been able to break through that. So I think that's probably one really good example of that, Nate, is to formalize that, and that means I think it opens up a whole wealth of opportunities to attract different types of people and different types of talent, and it's just one of the things that you have in your toolkit to try and get the culture that you need inside your business to be successful.
No, definitely. That's great. Do you think there are any organizations out there that have kind of managed to stand out to you in terms of how they've managed their workforce in this environment? Are there any kind of leaders that you think are good role models for the rest of the world to follow?
I think there are lots, and I think, if anything, sometimes you see in a crisis, you see it brings out the best in people, and it brings out the best in organizations. I don't know if I'd mention companies specifically by name, but what I would say is, at the heart of the companies that I think that have done this or handled this situation well is this point I made a little earlier introduction, this notion of empathy. I think the reality is most people have been really, frightened and spooked by this virus. People are feeling anxious. People don't know, they're concerned. They don't know what the workplace is going to be like. They don't know whether it's going to be safe or not. They're concerned about their families, all those things. And I think those companies that have immediately moved quickly to take that concern away from people are the ones I admire the most. There's a number of them who've already announced that people to work from home indefinitely. There are other companies that have gone so far as giving people grants of money so that they can set themselves up to work remotely. Mm-hmm. And I think that communicates two things which are really important. One is trust, that, you as a leader of an organization, trust the right thing. And I think the second one is empathy, and it shows that you can say to people, if you're feeling concerned, we're with you, and want to make it as easy as possible for you to carry on, but at the same time for you to feel good about that and for you not to feel in any way insecure. And I think those companies have moved quickly to communicate trust and communicate empathy. They're the ones for me that I think really stand out.
Definitely, no, that's wonderful. So we're coming up on the end of our questions here, but the last one's a little fun, I guess. Would you like to make any predictions about the future of work and what it would look like?
Oh gosh. Well, I think there's a couple of things I would say. One is, I think we will all think differently about how we preparations for crisis situations. So, I think I've been involved in managing many crises over the years, but this one really is something that I couldn't possibly have foreseen. In that all the assumptions that you make about how you would manage a crisis, none of them proved to be valid. And so, whether that was most crisis management goes, they assume that, you'll have a problem in one business, one sector, one country, one office, and all of your plans are built around, well, it's okay. If there's a problem in country X, we can evacuate people to country Y. Or, if there is a safety incident or a security incident in building A, we can all operate the next day from building B, and you can just shift your folks around. It turned out none of those things were valid because you couldn't move people from country 1 to country 2, and none of your offices were open. Everybody was working from home, and countries closed their borders, so you couldn't even move your staff around. Flights didn't operate. So almost everything that you previously assumed about business continuity and crisis management had changed. So I think one thing, Nate, that I've learned from this is that in the future we'll ask much more searching questions, and we'll challenge ourselves even harder around scenario planning. I think that's a big one. I think the second one about what's changed about the future of work is I think something I've already alluded to, which is this notion that we need to continue to recognize that everybody's an individual and tailor the work experience to suit that individual and to suit their unique set of skills and talents. And whether that's where they work, how they're remunerated, how they connect and engage with each other. Certainly, I think the future of the office will be very different. Offices will become a different place because we will want to have lower office densities. We'll want to have lower people commuting in the rush hour. People won't feel, that's safe to be there, certainly for a period of time. They'll become more about collaboration or resource centers, maybe less about places where people sort of sit in cubicles and do work. So I think that's going to change, significantly. And I think also you'll get people who in the future will reappraise the value of work and maybe will reappraise what they want out of life. Because I think this has been a wake-up call to many people. So I would say, obviously there'll be many things that'll change. But as always, I think there'll also be many things that'll still stay the same. We'll still hopefully all have customers who want great products and services delivered by highly talented, motivated, and engaged employees. I don't think that's going to change too much, but maybe the way we go about it might. So who knows? And I certainly wouldn't want to set myself a great prophet of the future, because I think the crisis also told us that maybe we should be too careful about we should be careful about some of our predictions.
Exactly.
But I think what that does say is that organizations need to be agile.
Yep.
And they need to build in agility and resilience to be able to respond to whatever the situation is. And I think that whole notion of building in stability, building in resilience, building in an ability to respond differently to whether it's changes in the market or changes in the environment, I think that's going to be really important.
Mm-hmm. Well, John, thank you so much for the time. I found that very insightful and quite interesting. And just, thank you so much for being here. It's too bad we couldn't do this in person, but obviously remote communication technologies enable us to do this, and we're very happy to have had you participate today. So thanks again for the time. And I think what we have coming up next are some startup pitches, but I'm going to quickly introduce Zoe Wu, our program manager, who will take the reins from here on out. But then, once again, John, thanks so much for the time. I hope you have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nate, and thank you, John, for your insightful keynotes. We appreciate your time. Good morning, everyone. I'm Zoe, and I work really closely with enterprise tech startups. This is the first time that we run our program completely virtually, and all of our startups have done a fantastic job adjusting during this challenging time. With everyone on the line, we will be showcasing 16 startups today, and we will start with cybersecurity. Great. We will move on to our first presentation from Alseed. Alseed is a Kubernetes security leader, and it was created to fill the gap between DevOps and security teams. Amongst the Alseed customers are Takeaway Grubhub, the world's leading food delivery group, Snowflake, the world's leading cloud storage, and many others. Here we have the CEO, Amir, to talk about how Alseed works in complex Kubernetes environments.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amir. I'm the CEO of Alseed, talking to you from Tel Aviv. I'm proud member of the Plug and Play batch. And I wanted to share with you a bit about what is Alseed doing and how we support companies at these times around Kubernetes security. So we as a company focus on Kubernetes security. We help bridging between DevOps and SecOps. At these times, many companies out there dealing with cloud and Kubernetes adoption are actually a big target for threat actors. As the world economy is depreciating, there's more cybercrime on the rise, and the easy targets for cyber criminals sitting out of their homes is actually targeting cloud companies or cloud-based companies. And within the cloud space, the most vulnerable and open environment is Kubernetes. So we as a company are focusing in that respect on protecting companies, protecting their cyber security. We are a team of 30 people out of Israel and San Francisco, backed by Intel Capital. And we decided that during these times, it is our task to support those early cloud adopters and Kubernetes adopters, and make sure that the Kubernetes adoption continues and is not hampered because of all of those threats. You probably heard about Zoom being attacked and many, many others through cybercrime. Kubernetes is a very open infrastructure. It's very easy to get access into it and very hard to detect. Through our platform, we can monitor the Kubernetes network and easily detect any such vulnerabilities. On top of that, because we address CD to runtime, so because we address already the early design of Kubernetes, we have released around our Alseed Advisor a new package for HIPAA scanning, and we promote it now as a giving back to the community with a HIPAA scan for free for any healthcare related company. Through this scan, you actually, as a healthcare company, can identify any vulnerabilities or any inherent gaps that you have to comply to HIPAA, any kind of benchmark checks that you should fix early on in the development cycle, and thus protect yourself from being a target for any Kubernetes attacks. On top of that, in terms of our more comprehensive Kubernetes package, we can monitor the Kubernetes logs for any malicious behavior that is happening on the Kubernetes infrastructure. And the last module that we provide around ART, which is our LC runtime, we provide really microservices firewall that protects and locks and enforces all of the policies in runtime to ensure fully protection. We work very closely right now with our customers that are deploying their Kubernetes and don't want to stop Kubernetes deployment just because of the increase of threats. So we constantly enhance our research on new vulnerabilities and new attacks that are out there in terms of Kubernetes. And as I mentioned, we're going to continuously release new packages like the HIPAA package that is going to support such a potential current crime that is happening against Kubernetes. Through that, we hope that we can support you and any other customer that is on the Kubernetes journey to ensure you continue safely deploy your Kubernetes during this time and actually take advantage of the move to the cloud and the move to the online ecosystem that is emerging right now. So happy to support. We are here at LSEED, and we're happy to be at your service with any need around your Kubernetes security. Thank you.
Thanks, Amir. Next, we will move to Secure Channels. Secure Channels is a cybersecurity solution development company based in Irvine, California. And congratulations for being chosen by Oregon Systems, which is a leading IoT systems integrator, to be the encryption provider for their critical infrastructure customers. Today we have Ian, VP of Sales and Data Service here to talk about how Secure Channels develops technologies to protect against current emerging threats.
Secure Channels is a cybersecurity software engineering and development company. But where we differentiate ourselves is our focus on data security and access management in developing those cryptographic tools and platforms that can secure any digital information. Let's start at the root problem and the issues it causes for IT and InfoSec professionals. The encryption and cryptographic tools available today are so inefficient and so cumbersome to use, they either get used on a small portion of an organization's data or they just don't get used at all. The first issue this causes is that if hackers get past all the cybersecurity defenses and get to unprotected data, they can choose to use it, sell it, or ransom it back for huge profits. The second issue is the cost. Companies who suffer a data breach where unprotected data is stolen face massive cleanup costs, litigations, and fines, the global average being 3.9 million per breach. The US average, though, 8.1 million per breach. The third issue is today's strongest encryption at 128 or 256 will be vulnerable to quantum computing attacks. Now here's how we address those problem and issue statements. Here at Secure Channels, we design ultra-efficient and secure encryption tools and platforms that give developers, OEMs, and enterprise organizations more ways to leverage encryption. We do this by providing better tools without the drawbacks that keep IT professionals from wanting to use them. And by providing better tools, they'll get used more often on more data, reducing organizational risk from data theft and mitigating the risk of any stolen data being used, sold, or ransomed. The second result is that companies using our platforms and tools can significantly mitigate that $3.9 to $8 million average breach cost and possibly avoid disclosing breaches altogether. The third result is that extensively using encryption is already a #1 ROI in cybersecurity. Now let's look at the market size in terms of revenue and growth for just two of the markets our products fit in. The first is global software encryption, which is already a $7.5 billion market, expected to grow at 17% to $16.5 billion in just 4 years. The other is post-quantum cryptography. Again, that cryptography that protects from quantum computing attacks is growing at 39% a year and will be a $4 billion market in just the next 8 years. Now let's look at some of the identified market opportunities and use cases for our technology. First and foremost, secure communication. That could include email, VPN, video conferencing, and secure radios, all of which are even more in demand, especially in today's environment. Industrial controls, which fall into the real-time SCADA PLC environments that protect a lot of our critical infrastructure and infrastructure around the world. Automotive, in terms of both intra-vehicle and the mobility apps we use with those vehicles. IoT and IIoT, which apply to almost anything. Again, this will be almost 500 billion devices in just the next 5 to 10 years. And then HD cameras, which could include anything from security cameras, industrial cameras, those that go in your vehicle, as well as doorbells and smart homes. To touch on our 2 patented core technologies, the first of which is Exotic, which is that encryption system that is incredibly efficient, strong, and flexible. The other is SKI, which is our high-speed streaming key exchange. Looking at our go-to-market strategy, you can classify them 2 ways. One is ready to use, and the other is ready to integrate. Under the ready-to-use side would be our SaaS platform and downloadable software, which cover email encryption, file drive encryption, endpoint encryption, and user authentication. Under the ready-to-integrate side are our licensable APIs that cover software hardware encryption, encryption key exchange processes, and user authentication. In taking a deeper look at where our APIs play, let's look at software integrated encryption. We can literally protect anything from structured to unstructured data, data at rest, data in motion, as well as all the use cases that are most important today, including email, IoT, VPNs, automotive databases, HD video and media, and that ICS SCADA PLC environment. In terms of hardware embedded encryption, again, great place would be mobility, ASICs, and of course FPGAs. On the encryption key exchange side, again, email, file sharing, endpoint, automotive, SCADA PLC. And in terms of user authentication and multi-factor authentication, which goes back to access control, we can secure web front ends, software applications, mobile, and a really interesting use case is AR and VR environments where there is no alphanumeric keyboard.
Great. Ian and his team are on our networking platform, Umbrella. If you would love to meet with them, go and sign Umbrella. Next, we will move to Infinite Point. Infinite Point is based in Tel Aviv, Israel, and their offerings have been seeing significant tractions in the recent months due to the understanding that organizations must be able to access their cyber risks in real time. They have multiple POCs going on right now, and today we have Ariel to introduce how Infinite Point's solution bridges the existing gap between IT and security teams within enterprises.
For the next 5 minutes is focus on what Infinite Point does and why it's important. So Infinite Point is a cloud-native unified endpoint management platform, and it gets so much more important today as business resilience is on the line. Let's talk a little about how today's organizations look like. So distributed workforce is an example of how the perimeter has been breached, and we really have areas in the cloud, on-prem, off-prem extensions to different places like the distributed workforce. And that creates a real challenge for getting to cyber hygiene. Cyber hygiene is addressing those known vulnerabilities, right? Use software and hardware vulnerabilities, but they're known, right? Critical vulnerabilities that have been there, but you need to know how to patch them. Software security weaknesses, misconfiguration, things that you should know how to address. For some reason, you're not addressing, even though you have a multitude of tools. And that's a good example here is the Zoom recent vulnerability, which was tapped into, especially as there was work from home migration and really enabling attackers to take advantage of that. But this is known vulnerability that should have been taken care of by the organization. And the reason why it's challenging to take care of cyber hygiene is because of the complexities of how work organizations look like today and the managed devices, unmanaged device tapping into the system. And we put it into 3 different pillars of challenges. The first one is the ever constant changing environments. Once it was focused on on-prem, today it's on-prem, cloud, off-prem, remote locations. These are creating a real challenge to see everything in real time and go seamlessly between them. The other one has to do with the breadth of assets connecting to these networks. Once you were talking about workstation servers, today you have IoT, you have cloud workloads. These all have to be identified in real time and managed all the way to risk assessed. And that is creating a real challenge around cyber hygiene. What we've built is a platform in order to address that in real time and at scale. Real time is really connecting to the devices themselves and understanding what is their status. At scale is over thousands and thousands of these types of assets, virtual and not. And what we're calling it is 4-story journey in order to get to cyber hygiene. The first starts with asset discovery and management. What you don't discover, you can't protect. What we do is a 3-fold from integrations all the way to a sensor and through to a client sitting on each and every one of the devices, getting real-time data about the status. And once you have that, all the way to the ability to query those assets in real time, what you are is well positioned to actually start doing some real vulnerability management program, really contextualizing that, whether it's a user, station, or application, not on top of the CVSS scoring, but what additional risks are associated with that in order to give the right scoring, come on top of that with the live integration, all the way to closing that. Live integration being able to query all your IT estate in real time to get additional information, closing the loop with mitigation. And that is all based on cutting edge technology, obviously, but client and client-less technology. It's a peer-to-peer movement, really giving us land speed in order to not only deploy ourselves, but actually ask the questions. And that's continuous in real time to give you the most accurate status and the most granular status of what does your IT estate look like. And let's actually see that in action. So this is a good example of how we took care of the Zoom vulnerability via the platform.
In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to quickly mitigate a recent threat using InfiniPoint. During this period, when many people work from home, Zoom has become a critical tool in our daily toolbox. Unfortunately, our tools are not immune from attacks, and it was recently published that a Zoom vulnerability can leak Windows 10 sign-in information. Zoom recently released a fix in the form of a new Zoom version. There are 2 options which administrators can take in order to remediate this threat. First, I'll demonstrate the implementation of an OS mitigation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find the clients which are using Zoom using the asset inventory screen. I find 2 groups of assets running Zoom on Windows. I'll choose one of them. I'll mark all the assets. And I'll run the script of Zoom vulnerability mitigation. And as you can see, just like that, the risk has been remediated and InfiniPoint employees can continue working regularly. Another option I can take is to upgrade Zoom to its latest version. I'll click the Zoom upgrade and I'll run it against its targets. The process of upgrading Zoom should take roughly around half a minute. Now we were able to get a response that the Zoom version 4.6.9 was installed successfully. Don't wait for your next gen AV. Attackers are exploiting new vulnerabilities faster than defenders can fix them. The only true competitive advantage in security today is speed and reprogramming your infrastructure at infinite scale to mitigate risks.
So instant time to value is both enhanced security and increased productivity. I urge you, if this is of interest, please reach out. We'll be happy to have the conversation. Thank you for your time.
Great. Next, we have Ijura. Ijura offers mobile threat defense solutions. And here we have Manis, the CEO of Ijura.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the presentation of Ijura. Ijura is a unique patent pending mobile and IoT security solution that helps you secure your device by directly integrating with an MNO, which means you do not need any application or an agent on a device to secure it. We secure the endpoints, ensuring that all the data that goes in and out of a device is scanned and is free of any malicious, phishing, or any sort of activity that can jeopardize the data. As we are aware of the security situation in the world today, with the given coronavirus situation and employees working from home, enterprise data has become totally vulnerable to hackers, and hackers are trying every means to penetrate an enterprise network or steal a valuable information, maybe by sending an email with a malicious link, or by having different applications on the App Store which are stealing the information out without any knowledge of the enterprise or the user. So how do we ensure that we are able to secure the devices through a quick, easy, scalable solution? Let me offer you some details of our solution, Vyjura. We offer a network enforced solution that offers a zero-touch approach. We have ease of deployment, which means you can not only increase your capacity, and we can help you with that by providing a private deployment, but also it is instantly downloadable through an app store, or we can whitelist the phone numbers through the MNO of your employees for a company-owned device. We offer improved user experience by providing negligible latency. Our solution is hosted on the cloud, so it's totally lightweight. And for a bring your own device use case, we offer privacy for your employees, ensuring no data is exposed to an enterprise admin. We authenticate and we help with user provisioning, which means only secure access is offered to an enterprise network, be it a bring your own device use case or a company-owned device. We are present on the cloud, which means we can secure any cloud-based solution and application located on it. We also secure internet traffic coming in our office social network, or any application that is present on the device. Now let me give you a very quick demo by showcasing you two devices. One on the left is having an Vyjura-based solution enabled on its end. It's running on an AT&T network in the US, and it's a UK-based SIM card from Max Telecom. And on the right, we have a standard iPhone, iOS 13.3, which is updated with the latest security from Apple. It's running on an iPhone 7 Plus. And the device on the left is running on an older iOS version, which means it's very vulnerable and it's not been updated for the last 2 years. We're using a Zscaler solution over here to show you the preview on how vulnerable these devices are. And we wanted to use a third-party solution to ensure we are fair by not using our own solution to test our own devices, right? Because that would completely not make it trustworthy. As you can see, the device on the left has fared pretty well. It's passed all the tests. The one that is using an Vyjura solution versus our device on the right is unable to stop any executable file attack, any botnet attack, any virus attack, any malicious attack whatsoever. It cannot block any access to any gambling site or pawn site or any sort of a corporate policy that you may want to deploy for your employees. Also, at the same time, an Vyjura solution provides you with a peace of mind SSL solution, ensuring that your data is not only safe and secure, but also your employee data is totally secure. Now let's see how well do we compare with other players in the market. We work very well with an MDM company. We can integrate with them directly and provide a DPI solution, because MDMs today will help you secure your device by providing a minimal access, but they do not offer any DPI engine in the backend, which means any malicious link that comes on a device which could still go and access or still start leaking the data out. Any other market solution in the market today is not offering a SIM-based solution, including Zscaler. They do offer a mobile app, which is pretty heavy, like the MDMs, which can drain the battery of your phone. They both deploy corporate policies, even on a BYOD use case, which means any employee downloading these applications is also sharing their personal information or personal data out to an enterprise admin, which is not fair. And more than that, both these solutions, including an antivirus, does not offer a network enforced zero-touch approach, which Azure is offering today. So 3 broad use cases we cover: a hardened SIM-based solution, which is for company-owned devices; a bring your own device solution for employee-owned devices, where we offer mobile app that can be downloaded from an Android or iOS store; and an IoT use case specifically for SIM-based IoTs that covers data and data bus signaling use cases. So these are the different range of devices that we cover on IoT side and connected device side, right? From manufacturing devices to connected cars, buses, trucks, signals, any device that can connect via a SIM card or could use a mobile or mobile-based application from Android or iOS, we can pretty much secure that. We are backed by one of the largest telecom operators in the world called Tata Communication, that is moving around 25% of the global internet traffic. If you would like to see a demo or learn more about the product, please email me at manas@azura.com or visit our website, www.azura.com. We will look forward to hearing back from you. Thank you.
Great. Next, I'd love to welcome a group of startups in finance operations and legal. And we will start with Scan. Scan.ai is a cognitive technologies platform used to uncover enterprise business processes. They're based in where I am, San Jose, California, and Scan's offering accelerates and optimizes intelligent automation, digital transformation, and helps define the future of work. We have Avinash here to tell us more about Scan.
Hello there, my name is Avinash and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Scan.ai. Scan helps map, model, and manage the invisible enterprise. What is the invisible enterprise? Between what an organization thinks is its business process and what is actually happening on the ground. Between the boxes and arrows diagrams at level 1, level 2 that describe processes and the standard operating procedures and what's actually happening in the innumerable exceptions, nuances, and decisions that human beings are taking with digital tooling lies the invisible enterprise. It is critical that we know that, but the reason we do not know about it is because we use human discovery to be able to figure out these business processes. This act of human interviews actually does not work. It does not work because A, there is a tacit dimension of knowledge, that human beings know more than they can tell. And always, when we ask someone what is it that they do in a given situation, the answer is not what they do, but the answer is what they're supposed to be doing. And so, large part of what an organization thinks is its business process is simply not true. You'd say, well, that's all very well, but why do we care? We care because we do not want to be a statistic on a page like this. Enough blood, sweat, and tears have already been spent on digital transformation that was not quantified and depended on anecdotal evidence. Scan aims to change that. We change it by using computer vision, which is where the digital rubber hits the digital road, which is where all decisions are seen on the screen. We use computer vision to observe the screens at scale across the organization to be able to figure out what the business process is. We do not require access to your backend systems. We do not require access to any data or logs. We use information on the screen, and using computer vision, we figure out what the business process looks like. There is no human discovery, and therefore we can easily go beyond the happy path descriptions of work. And because this is a data-driven description of work, we can simulate, we can interrogate, we can automate these processes. So Scan, we deploy tooling on each of the desktops where work is happening, and we use the information on the screen to capture information much like a WebEx or a Zoom would, and use that to be able to build out process twins, not just on the work of one person, but of the many people who are working in the organization. Using this information, we are either able to provide supervisory AI or data-driven re-engineering and transformation that then dovetails into digital transformation agendas of the organizations. So what is it that Scan can do for the enterprise? One, it can help understand and optimize before you make digital interventions based on data. And second, after the digital intervention has been made, and that intervention may be automation or change in tooling or retraining of people, monitor and manage the impact, again, on a data-driven basis, not based on interviews. So Scan does not automate. Scan drives continuous compliance and risk using supervisory AI. Scan benchmarks work, provides precision training, and Scan is being used for process mapping and compliance in claims management, in automation and application rationalization, in compliance and due diligence, and in optimization and transformation at large organizations. Feel free to reach out to us at www.scan.ai. Thank you.
Great. Next, we have Usher. Usher is created to eliminate friction between enterprises and their customers. And here we have Michael to talk about how enterprises could leverage Usher to accelerate your workflow.
Hello, this is Michael Fisher, VP of Product and Marketing for Usher. We are an AI-powered startup out of Silicon Valley. And what gets us up and motivates us in the morning really is this goal to bring technology to the communications and workflows between insurers and their members and their brokers, right? These communications affect the claims journey, group benefits journeys, even member support issues into a contact center. Or they could be broker journeys for sales and support questions back and forth. Oftentimes these are reliant on calls into a claim center or a contact center or a broker support center, or they could be emails. Right. But what we see is, this asynchronicity where it's inbound or outbound, could be 3 or 4 or 5 back and forth calls on a claim journey, for example. That's not uncommon for our customers when they reach out to us. So this is where we think we can bring some automation, not just on the communication side, but also on the workflow side. So the way we approach this is, first off, with just an omni-channel platform, right? We provide to our insurance customers choice, the ability to engage with a customer on two-way text or AI chatbot, or through email automation, or dynamically by integrating with the IVR. And the platform's built on this best-in-class conversational AI technology that allows us to understand the intent of a customer across these channels. But what sets us apart and what allows us to deliver really compelling value is that we integrate into back-end systems. That's core systems, that's claim systems, that's CRMs like Salesforce or a ticketing system, or 40-year-old legacy homegrown systems, right? It's this integration, it's the ability to focus on the front of the journey and the communication with the end customer or a member, and the integration of the back-end system to dynamically read and write, which makes us a very powerful solution for claims or for group benefits or for broker journeys, right? So in this way, we've built this automation toolkit for a business user, right? So if you're running claims, if you are running the call center, supporting member queries or broker onboarding or support for group benefits, we provide this low-code automation builder where we work with you to sort of process map how you're handling something today through a call or through an email, and decide which channel to move it over to and how to integrate into your backend, right? And that is a very powerful way to interact, because the business owner feeling the pain point knows the process the best, right? And then we work with them to translate that into the platform. So it's pretty powerful. We're also cloud-based. So that means, very scalable, instantly scalable. If a hurricane hits for a PNC, or if a pandemic hits, just hypothetically, you can scale instantly. But it also means that you can, as your teams are remote, if they're impacted by these natural disasters, that they have the ability to control these automations remotely, deploy them, create them, test them instantly. We deliver best-in-class BI and analytics tools so you can see what happens on a micro and macro level. And of course, as I said, we're powered by AI. So what's the impact here? We have case studies that sort of prove all this stuff out, but we can take claims journeys in the STD space and make sure they stay short-term disability and don't grow into long-term disability, right? We can automate the interaction between claimant and insurer and compress the timeframes on some of these claims from 3 weeks to under an hour. So we can cut costs, we can cut the length of the cycle time. We can reduce those claims from becoming, like I said, long-term disability claims. But we can also do this in a way that positively impacts the member experience, which is very powerful. So here's a quick smattering of our interactions, our experiences. These are all white label, brandable, of course. And if you'd like to try this out for yourself, you can do this right now. You can just text #events to this number that you see on your screen here, and you can see a sample of an usher that will work on your mobile device and give you a sense of what a seamless custom digital channel looks like. And I've got a testimony here that I just want to throw this in and just make the point that there are as many companies are sort of going down this digital transformation journey, this path, right? And we view it as a path. We don't view solutions as one size fits all. We think that one part of the journey might require one approach, another part of that same journey might require another approach. Our platform is very flexible, very scalable, and in that way, it gives you this ability to be very agile in how you attack these interactions and how you seek to solve them and how to improve, right? We're modular as opposed to one size fits all, rip and replace. And so we've got testimonials that say this, that we really become a partner in this journey. And to sort of prove that out, we start small, we drive for quick time to value, we start with a quick POC. We level set on some very clear KPI through the POC, and we aim to get into POC and start proving value within the first 45 to 60 days. And this allows us to get to production, and in many cases within 90 days. So we practice what we preach there. So hey, I think I'm up on time here, but I want to thank you for your time and invite you to email me if you'd like us to walk you through a quick demo. Email is michael.fisher@usher.com, and we'd love to show you what we can do.
Great. Next, we have Lexion. Lexion helps its customers quickly find and gain insights about contracts in a unified system powered by AI. And we have Gaurav for his 5 minutes overview of Lexion.
Hi, my name is Gaurav, and I'm the founder and CEO of Lexion, the intelligent repository for your contracts. We help your legal teams understand what's in their agreements. Let me start by telling you a bit about us. We were founded in 2019 and raised a $4.2 million seed round from Madrona, as well as Wilson Sonsini, a major West Coast law firm and one of our early enterprise clients. We are an incredibly experienced team of technologists, and we built the company out of the Paul Allen Institute for Artificial Intelligence, a world-class research institute on AI. Our technology is award-winning. CB Insights called Lexion one of the top 100 startups to watch in the AI sector, and the only one in the legal field. And we've published at major academic conferences, like NeurIPS in 2019. Our technology is solid. Let me show you how it helps your business. Legal teams today store their contracts in file folders. These are typically PDFs, and sometimes they're tracking obligations stored within them manually in spreadsheets. Now, finding these agreements is a painful, slow process, searching for text, and doing any kind of reporting, even trying to identify which contracts will auto-renew next month, is cumbersome and difficult. Let me show you how we can help. Lexion takes your contracts and parses them to extract key attributes. We then deliver these to you in a powerful and easy to use repository with great search, reporting, permissions, integrations, alerts, and lots of other great features that help you run your business. What really sets us apart, however, is that we help you with onboarding. Our customers tell us all the time that they've evaluated other contract management systems only to realize that they would be stuck with having to load up their hundreds or thousands of contracts manually and type in information before any of the reporting would light up. We're able to do this for you thanks to our cutting-edge technology. The way we do this is we pull your documents from a variety of different sources. We convert them to text, and then we start to analyze them to identify specific clauses. We then extract over 30 different attributes and present them to you in an easy to navigate and use manner. We have lots of different integrations to work with your systems. We can pull data from a variety of file storage systems. We can also push data into Salesforce or other systems of record. And of course, we work with DocuSign and other signature services. When we talk to our customers, big like Aptio and smaller like Algorithmia or Cumulo, we hear the same things all the time. They love that we create a single source of truth for their agreements. We help them track critical data that allows them to then report on this data. We give them excellent full text search and the ability to find agreements that they're looking for. We give them reminders and alerts so they never miss that auto-renewing vendor agreement. We play nicely with the people in their organization as well as their systems, making it easy to invite others with fine-grained permissions control, as well as pushing data to where it needs to go. For PNP members, we're offering a free 60-day trial hosted with your contracts. Please let us know if you're interested. And for investors in the room, we'll be raising our Series A next year, early next year. So please reach out to me if you're interested in having a conversation. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Again, if you would love to see a live demo from our startups, please join Brella. They would love to walk you through their solutions. Or you can contact me. I'm happy to make introductions. Now we will move on with IT and infrastructure. And we will start with Open Legacy. Open Legacy is a digital-driven integration platform that enables organizations to leverage their core systems in order to achieve digital transformation 10 times faster. They're headquartered in New Jersey, and they also have offices around the world. And here we have the CEO and founder, Romy.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in to listen about Open Legacy. I'm Romy Stein, CEO and co-founder of Open Legacy, and I'm happy to share with you over the next few minutes a little bit about us and what we do. First, let me begin with kind of sharing our mission statement. Back in 2013, when we started, we focused on enabling every enterprise, no matter how complex is their IT infrastructure, to go truly digital. And what we mean by the word truly digital is that it's not enough that you have a digital proxy or an API, but it's really more relevant that your service performs in the level of scalability and robustness that your new digital clients would expect in this day and age. If we move on into kind of a little bit about us as a company, you can see that we are now serving clients across the globe. A lot of them are global tier 1 customers. We have over 50 enterprise clients running in production. And what we focus on in one word is essentially automating and standardizing the process of creating digital services for legacy systems or for those business process mission critical workloads that you are still running in your enterprise. But let's first maybe talk a little bit about the market and what we are seeing and maybe going a little bit into the product. But I would probably assume that you are not surprised to see that a lot of your digital challenges or needs, in fact, have intensified since COVID-19, because not only that your partners and end users and clients expect to get more of your business processes now available online, but also your employees need now to have stronger access or deeper access into your core systems, into your mission critical workloads, so they can perform more things through their digital channels and provide that level of flexibility even when working remote. And for that end, I think over the past probably decade or two, not a lot has changed from a concept perspective, especially if you're familiar with terms like SOA, service-oriented architecture, or even ESB, enterprise service bus. And those are kind of technologies that are over a decade now. And while many folks believe they have disappeared, the actual reality is that they still reside in your enterprise infrastructure. And essentially, every time you need to build a new digital service to enable a new business process through multiple digital channels, eventually you have to go through what we would call kind of this service-oriented architecture, which typically involves many teams in your organization, multiple products, multiple layers that essentially are kind of moving the ball from one end to another. And one of the challenges of that I would say process is that you may be as fast as your weakest point, and if your weakest point is that you have to go through that lasagna, I would say, of products, eventually every digital service that you need to bring to your customers and end users from your existing business processes may take months or weeks in the best case. And obviously that's very challenging. What we actually offer is a different approach, an approach we call kind of microservices to the core or innovation to the core, where we essentially bypass all the legacy middleware, in fact, all the layers that have been built over the years, and we communicate directly with the underlying application, underlying business processes that continue to run your processes today. Whether you are a bank or an insurance or manufacturing or a retail, eventually you have various systems anywhere from mainframe through S400 or SAP, Oracle, or other homegrown applications. Eventually, what we enable is the ability to connect directly to those underlying applications and invoke and create an abstraction layer in more modern architecture like microservices, enable you to kind of provide more services to your digital without the need to provide a lot of customization, a lot of manual work, and multiple teams, multiple products that you had over the previous technology generation. So in a nutshell, this is how typically kind of an implementation looks at Open Legacy, coming up above your core systems, legacy system, and able to very quickly expose and deliver new functionalities that are measured in hours or a matter of days rather than weeks or months. And in a nutshell, I would say that those are the typical business value that we provide our clients, anywhere from creating the service 10 or 20x faster, using much fewer teams and people to provide that service. And of course, the fact that everything we do is based on standard and the layering of the technology, it enables also an improvement or reduction in the latency in a way that your service becomes truly digital. Thank you for your time, and happy to share more use cases and any questions that might come up. Thank you.
We all know that future companies, if they want to be successful, they have to be AI driven. But ForPass thinks the enterprise AI journey does not have to be painful. And the team has a few exciting news to share recently. First, they signed 2 new clients during COVID-19, including a research and development branch of a large automotive manufacturer from Japan. They also just released a self-service version of the platform. So if you're interested, please contact them and start a free trial. And I will pass it to Thomas.
Hi, everyone. I'm Thomas, Platform Product Manager at ForPass. ForPass is an end-to-end platform for distributed data teams to help them deliver AI applications faster. What we believe in is that workers of the future will be making decisions using AI-based recommendations, and they will be using these recommendations from a variety of different apps using information that is flowing across the company, whether it's outside or inside. And these apps are going to be in the formats of either dashboard, alerts, and so there's really a need to help these companies scale their AI practice. But there are a lot of hurdles to bringing AI to a large scale in a company. The first one is that AI applications are complex. And we like to insist on the fact that they're not complex because they're mathematically complex or because they're logically complex. They're not complex because of the algorithms themselves. They're complex because of all the different parts that need to come together to build an AI application. And this is something that Google has talked about in a paper in 2015. And it's really focusing around the collection of the data, the infrastructure that makes sure that it's always up and running and available, extracting the right feature. The algorithm itself is only 10% of the actual work for an AI application. And then once you know what you want to build, really there's the issue of how do you operationalize that? How do you bring to life your AI experiment and turn it into a product that you can scale inside of a business? And for this part, there's a couple of different roadblocks. You need to hire the right people, which is really hard to do. There's sometimes that's incompressible. Like if you're moving from paper-based systems to a digital system, you're going to have to train your employees. And there's a lot of cost associated to setting up the right tools, maintaining them, deploying them. So there was really a platform that was needed to be able to industrialize these AI initiatives that are currently stuck in the experimental phase. So ForPass is really the first end-to-end platform for distributed data teams, which will help you build, deploy, and also scale any AI application. What we've seen is that our users end up really improving by 10 times the speed at which they can deliver their AI projects. Something that would take between 6 to 8 months can be done between 3 to 4 weeks. By being able to be so fast-paced, they can iterate much faster and focus on the business value, yielding higher success rates on these actual projects. So we monitor that about 70 to 80% of AI projects never go to production. And finally, we're only pricing based on compute, which means it makes us competitive when you scale an AI business because we're not pricing on a user license base. Finally, our product is really focusing on simplicity. We want to make sure that it's accessible by everyone. So we automate most of the complexity when it comes to the orchestration and the infrastructure. And there's a lot of space in the platform that's very much low code. And we also integrate with best practices, best frameworks for machine learning and AI. And we offer integrations with a variety of different developing tools. We are also a multi-cloud business, battle tested and enterprise ready. So we offer the 3 public clouds in the US, Google, AWS, and Azure, and also work with a variety of European cloud provider, as well as the ability to deliver on-premise. In terms of our company and our clients, we were born in 2015, raised a first Series A in 2017, was named Cool Vendor in the AI Core category last year by Gartner, and have a portfolio of about 20 active clients in the Fortune 500 space. And we also work with a variety of different partners from OEMs to actual technical integrators. With AXA, which is a large insurance provider, we develop a machine learning pipeline to automate the tagging of incoming documents using NLP. With Crédit Agricole, who's a large financial institution in Europe, we are building a tool to automate the KPIs for their internal auditor. So when they start a new audit, the first thing they do is they want to kind of have a quality or a bit of a health check on the status of the system of the institution they're auditing, and they want to run a bunch of reports that are automated. Third use case is working with Henner Group, who's a local healthcare provider, insurance provider. And what we're doing is predicting churns for regional local sales agent. And finally, we have developed a POC in collaboration with the McKinsey company to be able to forecast market rates for real estate agents and buyers. All right, that's it for today. If you'd like to hear more, feel free to get in touch. You have my contact information over here, or otherwise you can reach out on the website to get your free trial of the platform. Thank you very much.
Great. Next, we have Kaholo. Kaholo is a DevOps automation platform. It lets developers easily and quickly build advanced automation workflows within minutes. And the team is based in Tel Aviv, Israel. And here we have Lear. He is a successful serious tech entrepreneur and now the CEO of Kaholo.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to see what Kaholo is about. In short, we help companies to deliver higher quality software much faster than before. So with this whole digital transformation trend, a lot of traditional companies have become software companies. They release a lot of software products, and the true competition becomes about releasing software faster than your competition. In most companies, in order to do something like this, they automate, they try to automate a lot of the manual work in order to make sure that there are no mistakes and the software is released very fast. Now, within many companies, there is a DevOps group that is responsible to automation processes in addition to managing the infrastructure. But in the last couple of years, we see a trend where DevOps people are very hard to find, and the DevOps group is always overwhelmed with a lot of tasks. So they shift a lot of automation processes or building to other groups like engineering, IT, testing, and so forth. Now, the DevOps people used to work with the traditional automation tools, but the new groups, the IT, engineering, and testing are not. And those traditional tools like Jenkins, Circle CI, Terraform, and so forth, they have a couple of things in common. One, each one has its own proprietary language that the user needs to master. And if you don't know that already, it takes anywhere between 1 to 6 months to learn a new language. The other thing is the way you build those automation processes. It's all based on scripts that you need to write and test. And that takes anywhere between a couple of days and a couple of weeks before you have an automation process up and running. So let me show you how it works today. One or more engineers are sitting on a piece of paper or whiteboard and sketch the process that they want to build. And then they go and take one of the existing traditional tools for automation and start to build this never-ending script, for a few days or a week or so in order to complete a single process. So at Kahulu, we thought it makes no sense, and we decided to build a low-code solution for DevOps automation. And this process in Kahulu, this is what it looks like. So with Kahulu, you basically drag and drop plugins into the canvas, connect them, and you have a process. Kahulu is basically a complete solution for building, running, monitoring automation processes in a very fast way. Kahulu is completely flexible. You can actually do anything that you can do with a script with Kahulu, and sometimes there are things that you can do with Kahulu but not with a script. So you can do anything you want in terms of automation. The other thing, the onboarding takes only a single day. You don't have to learn a new programming language or anything like that. It's very easy and very fast. Building a process also is very fast. It takes hours compared to days with the existing solutions. So the productivity is increased by tenfold. In addition to that, of course, junior engineers can now create very complex pipelines, very complex automation process, unlike with the existing tools that require very expensive and experienced DevOps engineers. So let me finish with a couple of case studies. Checkpoint is one of our customers. It's the security giant. And basically, they have a team of sales engineers that are building solutions or tools for the sales teams in the field. One of the requirements was to build a tool that allows them to have environments for testing and training in the cloud. And instead of taking any of the existing traditional tools, they have taken Kahulu, and within less than a week, they had a process up and running. And since last October, they have been increasing their usage, and they're using the product, thousands of times every month. Another case study is with Align Technology, also a big public company from the Silicon Valley. And basically, they're using Kahulu for testing orchestration, as they have many different testing tools, and they needed one kind of a place to orchestrate all of the testing. So if your company is looking for ways to deliver higher quality software much faster than ever before, come and see me. I'll be happy to assist. Thanks for watching this.
Great. Next, we will move on to big data, and we will start with Infer. And here's the video from Jordan, the CEO and founder of Infer. And welcome to the world of secret computing.
We are in the age of machine learning and AI, and we have an insatiable appetite for data, but we're facing headwinds. Consumers, policymakers, and regulators are justifiably voicing their concerns about the use of data and privacy. And this is leading to balkanization, data silos. Now our data lakes are becoming data ponds. Sometimes our data lacks the diversity, which leads to algorithmic bias. And there's sovereign data policies, which are inhibiting our ability to transfer personal data across borders. We need a way to compliantly, securely, and privately compute on that distributed data without moving it. I'm Jordan Brandt, the co-founder and CEO of Infer, and we pioneered secret computing to solve this problem. We're enabling our customers to compute data while it remains encrypted, to enable privacy-preserving machine learning and analytics. We're here to dispel this false dichotomy that you have to make a trade-off between data utility and data privacy. You can have them both. So a quick synopsis on encryption. There are three primary pillars of encryption. You have encryption in transit, encryption at rest, which I hope all of your organizations are doing today. At Infer, we're focused on the more elusive target on encryption in use while it's being processed. This is what we call secret computing. But now this isn't only about data security and privacy. It's about what you can do with your data because it is secure and private. We're just scratching the surface on the applications and financial services with our customers today. Within your organization, we can enable you to compliantly run analytics across jurisdictions, across lines of business. We're seeing banks partner with telcos and insurers to build better credit models, to build better risk models and customer marketing applications. And we're really excited about the evolution of consortia to fight fraud and AML with enthusiastic support from the regulators. The basic simple definition here is more data equals better predictions, right? Within your organization, within a department, within a line of business, you may not have the diversity of data that you need, again, leading to algorithmic bias or suboptimal performance. By combining more data, you're able to get better predictions with simpler models that you can explain to regulators. And as we see more cross-industry sharing, we're starting to see more predictions that were impossible to make before secret computing. To explain this a little bit, our XOR secret computing engine is in production today with customers around the world. And let's walk through a scenario. Let's say that you have a data scientist who wants to be able to train a model on distributed data to which he or she does not have read access. It's very simple. They're going to use their current tools and develop their model in, say, Python. They're going to submit that to our XOR service, which will compile it into a secret compute circuit, which is sent to these distributed data sources. That data is then computed while it's encrypted and exchanged between these parties, respecting all of these sovereign data silos so that you can meet compliance requirements like GDPR. Those results are then broadcast back to the analyst platform where they're combined into the final output, which is accurate to within 6 digits of precision. So to recap here, the data scientist was never exposed to PII in those data sets, the XOR service never saw the data, and all those data silos remained intact. Now, when you compare this to other privacy-enhancing techniques, secret computing is the only one that does not trade off between privacy and precision. Our commercial product, XOR, is based on our advances in multi-party computation. We also have an open source library for fully homomorphic encryption called TFHE. And by the way, both of them are quantum resilient. Infer is headquartered right here in New York City. We also have offices in Switzerland and San Francisco. We have an experienced leadership team that's built successful companies before, and we have a very deep and diverse technical team. We've published over 300 papers in cryptography, mathematics, and computer science. But it's not only our team there, it's also our customers and our investors who believe in the company, believe in the technology, and are using it today. So in summary, we're building a secret computing ecosystem with industry leaders around the world. We're deployed live in many locations, many countries. We're starting to see more cross-jurisdictional applications. Today, we're helping our customers improve the current models that they have and do so compliantly. Tomorrow, we're enabling our customers to make predictions that are impossible to do without secret computing. Remember, in the age of AI, you do not have to trade off your data privacy and the utility. Thank you very much. Give us a shout later.
Great. If you would love to learn more about secret computing, Infer is Umbrella. So go and set up a meeting with them there. A few people are asking on Q&A if they can get a list of the presenters today. There are a few ways that you can get it. You can either go to Umbrella. All of the startups that are presenting during our summer summit are listed on Umbrella. Or you can also email me at zoe@pmptc.com. I'm happy to share our current batch poster with you. And next, we will move to Datado. First of all, congratulations for Datado team for recently closed $2 million seed round with Impulse Capital. It's a very challenging time to raise money, and you guys did it. And they also just released Datado 3.0, which has a completely new data integration interface that's easier to use than ever. And here we have Joe from Datado.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joel, and I'm the head of sales at Datado. Datado is a cloud-based, no-code data integration platform capable of ingesting data from essentially any online API-based data source. Our platform gives users one central point to manage all of their business's data. With Datado, you can add data transformations, merge data from various sources, whether they're marketing, sales, finance, or CRM data, and then orchestrate where that data goes. This can be business intelligence tools, dashboarding apps, or data storage solutions. We break down the data silos that are often created within modern day organizations and help them to eventually make well-informed, data-driven decisions without all the usual data headaches. As we know, there are more and more online data platforms that companies are being forced to adopt every day, and it can be a daunting task to figure out what to do with all of this data, and more importantly, how to manage it without wasting your precious time downloading, prepping, and delivering the data where it needs to go. We offer built-in connectors to over 75 commonly used services, and we have basic generic JSON connectors that allow users to connect to services that we don't offer right out of the box. Once the data is set up to be automatically ingested into our environment, organizations can automate the output of the data to a huge variety of BI tools and storage systems, as you can see here. Here I can show you a brief glimpse into what the platform actually looks like. It's really as simple as looking at our data sources here. We have connectors to dozens of popular services, and they're really, really easy to set up. It really only takes a minute or two. And once we have the sources configured with some basic settings here, we can choose an output to another wide variety of storage solutions and BI tools that you can see here. So a little bit about the key values that Datado provides, starting with integration flexibility. Datado works with any API-based service and really quickly maps the fields and metrics to work with your desired data output. This is done using a completely no-code approach, meaning that non-technical users like marketing leads can work with data without relying on internal data scientists to build out queries and deliver their data. Interoperability, we make it really easy to connect these new data sources into your existing stack, again, without the need for costly custom engineering or maintenance of your connectors. And fast deployment. Enterprise-grade competitors might be able to accomplish the same output that we can, but it takes months usually to implement, which can leave companies in a slump where it will take them weeks to get mission-critical data to the correct teams. Whereas with Datado, a new source can be implemented into your stack within minutes. With the increasing adoption of cloud-based softwares and the need for data management centralization, Datado brings the advanced data integration solutions provided by big vendors like SAP, SAS, or Talon to the mid-market segment where these types of technologies just years ago were totally cost prohibitive. So we don't intend to directly compete with these big boys, but at the same time, we see the market moving towards mid-sized businesses as far as data awareness is concerned, and we think that the current offerings can't satisfy the cost and value demands of these smaller businesses, and that's where Datado comes in. We've had really strong traction in our first 15 months in business, and we're really, really proud of our current portfolio of customers, and it keeps growing every day. We have a consumption-based pricing model, so companies scale based on their actual data consumption within the platform. And so we're really able to grow with companies starting from the startup phase all the way up into larger enterprise organizations. And of course, we're really proud to have been recognized by Gartner at the end of last year as a cool vendor in the data management category. They seem to really share our vision in the data integration management market, and they feel that this market is really going to be one that really shines in the coming years as companies realize that data is truly the answer to success in these times. So we're really excited to have Gartner have recognized us last year. And with that, I will end my presentation, and we really appreciate your time.
Our next startup is doing something you've probably seen in sci-fi movies. Senseye is a computational neuroscience company based in Austin, Texas, and they use computer vision technologies to understand the activity of the brain and leverage the data to help you build your product through understanding and personalization. I'll pass it to David.
Hi everybody, my name is David Zachariah. I'm the CEO and founder of Senseye. We are a computational neuroscience company based in Austin, Texas. And today I have a quick presentation, kind of the story behind Senseye, what it is we do, and then one of our use cases that is relevant here. So Senseye started originally about 7.5 years ago now as my 10th grade high school science fair project. And in case you don't believe me, my Jewish mother found some very embarrassing pictures to prove this. But the original idea behind the science fair project, I was working out of the nanorobotics lab at UC Irvine on a way to build normal computer processors, but we were using molecules of strawberry DNA instead of silicon. And the idea behind it was that if you ever wanted to build a computer chip small enough to fit inside of something like a contact lens, it would have to be able to operate on a microscopic scale. So long story short, I built a prototype, showed it was possible, submitted it to the California State Science Fair, and got promptly disqualified because they said either A, you stole it, or B, it's science fiction, but there's no way a high schooler figured this out. That being said, I got very lucky. There was a judge in the audience who was a judge for a different category and was serving as an admiral in the Navy at the time as the director of the Office of Naval Research. And so he came up to me afterwards and basically said, screw these guys, I'll have a team of scientists at the Navy take a look at this instead. And I ended up receiving an award and a grant from the Navy, which I take any day over a stupid science fair ribbon, and basically started Senseye after that. That being said, around that same time, I came to the conclusion that as awesome as that bionic chip concept was, it's pretty worthless until we figure out the command and control mechanism around it, and so I shifted my attention to that. And the idea was, even though we have all these interfaces that already exist, like a mouse, a keyboard, a touchscreen, so on and so forth, they all serve as an intermediary between the human brain and technology. But if the world's best command and control mechanism is the human brain, then we just need to figure out a way to tap into the brain wirelessly. And so over the past 5 years with a team of 30 of us, that wireless access to the brain is what we've begun to build. And so the way it works, if you've ever heard the phrase, the eye is the window to the soul, that phrase is actually true. So the iris of each of our eyes is comprised of several thousand muscle fibers, and each one of those muscle fibers is individually innervated to a different part of the brain. And so by just using a video camera to look at the movements of the muscle fibers, we're able to wirelessly read out most of the activity of the brain with the same fidelity as a functional MRI, but instead of using a giant $5 million magnet the size of the room you guys are probably in, that you have to stick someone inside of, we're able to use very small commercial off-the-shelf cameras. That being said, while we're always doing more and more R&D to build out access to more parts of the brain, we've built a couple applications around the pieces of the science and technology that we've built and gotten peer-reviewed so far. One that I want to touch on quickly is an automated operational risk management platform, which we built in partnership with Lloyd's of London. And essentially what this application is, it's a camera and a screen. You go in front of it, it does about a 20-second scan, and then it gives you a red light or a green light if you're fit for duty or not. And it's basically measuring 3 things. It's measuring, number 1, are there any alcohol or drugs in your system that are causing you to be impaired? If it's alcohol, we spit out a BAC. If it's a substance, we catch it regardless of whether it's marijuana or cough medication. We don't care what it is, we just want to know, are you impaired? Number 2 is fatigue, but it's actually cognitive fatigue. So is your brain firing on all cylinders? Yes or no? And number 3, psychological risk factors, which right now are things like abnormal stress and anxiety disorders. So the application, not this orders, responses. So the application with Lloyd's right now, they're deploying this on offshore container ships and on container ships and offshore oil platforms, essentially as a way to mitigate for the human element of risk. Able to make sure that before you start your shift, you're fit, you're good to go, and then you start. So just kind of wrap it up, so we're running out of time. The long-term goal of what we're working on building here is what we call human-computer symbiosis, which to us is the ability to use a human brain the way a mouse and a keyboard is used today. So instead of typing or clicking, you simply think or feel, and thoughts and emotions become the command and control mechanism of the virtual world. And the obvious question everyone asks is, well, how do you go from where you are now to that? And the answer is, as we biomark more and more sections of the brain, as you biomark more and more sections of the iris, we get access to more parts of the brain until we have access to the whole brain. Anyways, I'm sure you have lots of questions, and I'm looking forward to answering them.
Great. Next, we have R4. R4 is the leader in applying AI to cross-enterprise management, delivering better business outcomes as a service. Here we have the Chief Customer Officer, Alan.
Hello, my name is Alan Floor, and I'd like to welcome you to the business of better. R4 delivers better business outcomes with a cross-enterprise AI system that was built by the founders of Priceline, with a yield DNA and science that created a $100 billion market cap and allowed Priceline to handily outdistance a number of great names in technology in return to shareholder value for the last 15 years. After a great run at Priceline, 4 of the 5 founders of Priceline built R4 with the idea of taking that same approach to yield and applying it to other businesses. We've been at this a few years, and so far the results are great, with some fantastic clients in consumer packaged goods, retail, financial services, and other industries, which goes to show that when your system thinks of the world as a yield optimization challenge, there are many challenges you can address. To give you an overview of the system from left to right, we start with data as is, with no need to cleanse your data, to harmonize or normalize your data sets. We add external data and create your R4 AI market model, which is essentially a digital simulation of your market, which allows you to see the market in ways you hadn't seen before and make very accurate predictions in terms of product demand, volume, and specific events such as customer churn. We make this available to business users to allow them to discover new opportunities and manage the day-to-day use cases in marketing, supply chain, and sales through the existing business systems that are already in place in the company. The heart of the system is the R4 AI market model, and the data science theory of the case is that every marketplace in the world can be described as the intersection and interaction of people, places, and things. The people are your customers and all the characteristics of those customers. The places are the locations where they purchase or consume your products. And the things are the products themselves and the characteristics and attributes of those products. To give you an example, one of our clients is a bottled water company. And you'd think that's a pretty simple product. But our system doesn't think of it that way. It sees that bottle of water as a set of attributes. It has specifications like height and weight and volume. It has functional benefits around hydration and portability. And it has emotional characteristics that are tied to the brand and the label. So even that humble bottle of water, if we do our job right, is 30 to 50 unique attributes that describe that product. Multiply that by the hundreds of products this company offers. Multiply that by the characteristics that we've ingested about their consumers. Multiply that by the dozens and dozens of characteristics around their many, many locations. And that happy circumstance of a consumer walking into a 7-Eleven and grabbing their bottle of water versus some other beverage is the result of thousands of variables coming together and forming a pattern that resulted in a favorable outcome to our client. Our job at R4 is to quickly ingest internal data, add external data, find patterns that result in favorable outcomes, and then make recommendations so that favorable outcome happens just a little bit more frequently. Once we've built this foundation, it becomes the engine for a variety of use cases around personalization, demand-driven supply, and localization. The same foundation can go across each use case and drive results in each of these use case areas. And while we love the technology, the company is very much focused on return on investment. And in fact, we can't take on a new client until we've proven that they will have a 10-fold annual return on investment opportunity meaning they're getting $10 back in gross margin for every dollar they spend with R4. And so far, that has been a great process for us because we're not averaging tenfold return on investment. It's more like 30 to 50 times annual return on investment. What we're looking for in our relationship with Plug and Play is to build on our customer base in core industries that we serve, to expand to new use cases and industries, and opportunistically raise additional rounds of funding. Thank you for your time.
Great. There's a question on Q&A asking about the previous startup's name, and it's Sensei, and spells as S-E-N-S-E-Y. And again, all of the startups that we're presenting today are listed on Umbrella. You can find it by logging and use the special code provided by Plug and Play. If you want a one-pager of our startups, I can also share with you, share the batch poster with you. And you can email me at zoe@pmptc.com. Next, we will move on to our last group of startups in customer experience, and we will start with Agara. Agara can listen, understand, and respond to phone calls from customers and vendors without any human intervention. Using real-time voice AI, Agara also extracts a lot of intelligence from calls. And here we have Abhimanyu to reveal the secret behind Agara.
Hi, my name is Abhimanyu. I am the founder and CEO of Agara. Today we'll talk about how you can use real-time voice AI to elevate your phone support experience. Agara is an autonomous virtual voice agent. What does that mean? Agara is built using AI. It's designed to handle phone support conversations, and it does so using natural spoken language. So think back to every single customer support agent that you might have. They are listening to your consumers. They are trying to understand what their issues are. They are already trained on how to resolve those issues, and they do so using a very conversational format. Now imagine all of those capabilities this time available to you virtually. That's what Agara is. Agara is a virtual agent and hence comes with unlimited scale and capacity. You can run thousands of parallel calls and you can run millions of calls during the year. It's an agent that is constantly learning. Every call that passes through Agara teaches it to be better, and it understands accents from around the world. The benefits? Right off the bat, you're looking at a massive cost reduction of 30 to 50% by moving some of your call load from your current agents to Agara. You're also looking at manually handled call volumes going down, so you're looking at a smaller size of contact centers to be maintained. But most of all, you're looking at enhanced consumer experiences, largely because they're waiting on lines longer. Virtual agents respond to them instantly, so they are no longer waiting for 10, 15, 20 minutes to get their queries answered. It also means that people with simpler problems get faster responses, unlike the current state where everybody is in the same boat. It also means that you, as the business owner, have a lot more visibility into what's actually happening inside your calls. And this kind of a product can be deployed across a variety of use cases, and we've shown you some of those things that we are already sort of working towards. Insurance and banking, you look at a lot of payments and collections related use cases that is happening regularly, happens millions of times during a year, and that's the sort of thing that Agara can automate very, very effectively. Issues like lead qualifications on loans and credit cards and various other credit products that you might be putting out require a ton of information to be collected from consumers, and Agara can very well do that. In retail, Agara handles things around the order, whether it is status inquiries, cancellations, modifications, and so on and so forth, as well as loyalty account and user account management. In airlines, we are now looking at a whole new world, especially in the post-COVID scenario. We are looking at cancellations, rescheduling, new flight bookings, route information, baggage information, as well as on-ground assistance using touchscreens and so on. And finally, in a bunch of other industries, including telecom, we are looking once again at lead qualification, bill overdue, and a bunch of internal processes as well. Some of the biggest brands around the world are now using Agara in various forms and manner, and we have decided to show you a small subset of what is possible. Procter & Gamble is by far our largest customers. We work with them across 10 different countries today, support a huge amount of support for them. We have almost served 1 million consumers, helped them save a ton of time and a ton of headache during the support process. Singapore Airlines, building up cancellation and modification engines for them. And JB Hunt, a completely different industry, where we are looking purely at analytics for future code automation. As a company, we are a single-minded focused company on deep learning. We want to utilize AI to drive solutions for today's problems. To that extent, we've built out a massive AI team, creating some of the most used products around the world. Multiple patents, multiple papers, and so on reflect that technical depth that we have built up. As a company, we've raised over $3 million with great investors like Kleiner Perkins, Bloom Ventures, and RTP Global, and we are in the process of raising our Series A. That's what we are. If this is something that's interesting to us, come talk to us. We'll be happy to take that up. Thank you.
Last but not least, we have IGO. IGO is an advanced natural language intelligence platform, which remembers what users said prior and use that information contextually in future conversations. They've been doing great recently. They raised $3.5 million and they're about to close their Series A. They also have a few Fortune 500 companies and their sales pipeline has customers, and they're hiring 30 new people. If your friends are looking for positions, check it out. And they're also about to move into a larger corporate office. I'm very, very excited about their accomplishments, and I will pass to Srini.
Good afternoon. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. My name is Srini Pagitiala. I'm the co-founder of IGO.ai. So what we have with IGO is world's first and only intelligent cognitive assistant. In other words, a chatbot with a brain. So when you look at the chatbot space, there are 2,400 companies from IBM Watson all the way to Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant. All of these companies, they suffer from the same limitations, cognitive limitations. There is no memory. They don't understand. They don't remember what you said 2 sentences back, much less 2 days back or 2 weeks back. They cannot learn any new information interactively from you. If you tell Alexa or Siri that your favorite fruit is papaya, you ask them what my favorite fruit is, they can't answer that. They don't understand context or complex sentences. As an example, you can tell, don't tell me weather. It still tells you weather. With absolutely no understanding, blah, 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 weather always opens up weather application. There is no understanding. It's more of a statistical, pattern matching. They cannot reason with you or even manage an ongoing meaningful conversation. Therefore, they cannot be hyper-personalized for one individual, much less doing this at scale. Now, IGO elegantly bridges all of these cognitive limitations while it continues to hyper-personalize the experience for each user, and we can do this at scale, whether you have 10 users or 10 million users or 100 million users. IGO can be hyper-personalized for that domain, for that user. So at the end of the day, IGO delivers highly intelligent, hyper-personalized conversational assistants at scale for any domain within the enterprise, better than anyone else. Whether you need a personalized HR assistant for every single employee, or you need a personalized customer service assistant for every single customer, we can do that. In fact, to the best of my knowledge, we're the only ones who can say this, who can do this. So here is a comparison between Alexa and IGO, but we are going after only enterprise customers, so only B2B or B2B2C type use cases. And for IGO to work, you don't need a device. IGO is a piece of software. We can integrate it with either any software, any hardware. So with that, let me show you where Alexa is trying to do some basic things.
All right. Alexa, add chips and guac, napkins, and 3 bottles of wine to John's birthday list.
I added chips, guac, napkins, 3 bottles of wine to your shopping list.
Actually, Alexa, remove the napkins from the list.
To clear your list or remove an item, visit the Alexa app.
Okay, then. Alexa, what do I have on John's birthday list?
You have one item on your shopping list. Chips guac napkins, 3 bottles of wine.
You call all that one item? Oh, Alexa, remember that John's favorite cake is red velvet.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Now here did I go.
All right, let's make this happen. I go.
Hi there. What's on your mind?
Let's add chips and guac, napkins, and 3 bottles of wine to John's birthday list.
Good morning, Sam. I don't know what guac is.
Oh, guac is the same thing as guacamole.
Okay, creating John's birthday list. Is that okay?
Yep.
I added chips and guacamole, napkins, and 3 bottles of wine to John's birthday list.
What was the food on that list again?
Chips and guacamole and 3 bottles of wine.
Actually, let's make that 5 bottles.
Sure. The list is now 5 bottles of wine, chips and guacamole and napkins.
Great, let's send it over to June. And ask her if there's anything I'm missing, please.
Sending John's birthday list to June via email.
Wait, always contact June by Skype.
Okay, sending the list to June via Skype.
Oh, remember that John's favorite cake is red velvet.
Got it.
Fantastic.
That's it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Appreciate it.
All right, that concludes our startup presentation for today. And I want to thank for all of the startups that presented as well as participated in the Enterprise Tech program. It was a pleasure to work with you all in the past 3 months, and I'm very fortunate to be part of your journey. Next, I'd love to introduce my colleague Connie to present the corporate award to the most engaged and most innovative corporate partner of summer 2020.
Good afternoon. My name is Connie Weissman, and I'm co-director of the Enterprise Tech Vertical here at Plug and Play Tech Center. Today, we're giving out our Corporate Innovation Award. The recipient of the award today is Hughes. Hughes is one of our most active participants in the Enterprise Tech Vertical. Rohit Tripathi has been an excellent champion of the Enterprise Tech Vertical and the innovations that are born out of that. Rohit's interest lies in 5G, edge computing, and these technologies he brings back to use to help not only their own internal operations, but also the operations of their customers. We are thrilled to be giving this award to Hughes today and also to continue to work with them in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie, and congratulations, Hughes. A big shout out to our champion Rohit for being so active, engaged with the tremendous amount of value that you bring into our ecosystem. Our next program will remain virtual, and I'm constantly looking for more mentors. If you're interested to meet and mentor some of our startups, please feel free to reach out to me. And we have a few upcoming events in the next couple of months. I will pass it back to Connie to make the announcements as well as to wrap up the day.
I'd like to thank you for attending our summer summit today for enterprise technology. I'm sure you saw some very interesting startup companies and also heard some interesting comments from John Nolan. If you're interested in learning more about the Plug and Play platform or interested in meeting one of the startups one-on-one, please reach out to either Nate at Plug and Play Tech Center or Connie at pmptc.com. For upcoming events, we'd like to mention that on July 15th, we're having an Innovation Day in coordination with Hughes, and that will be a virtual Innovation Day. So I will send out more information about that next week. So all our corporate partners are welcome to attend. In addition, on August 17th through the 19th, we will be having our selection day for our anchor partners in enterprise technology. So please mark your calendars and we'll give you more information the next month. And lastly, we do have our fall summit in October. Typically, we do our summit in December, but we've moved over to the fall track. So we want you to mark your calendars for that as well. So that will be during the week of October 12th through the 16th, and more information will come as we gather that. Lastly, please remember that all these events at this time are virtual. Please share them internally. The more the merrier. I think we have over 1,000 attendees that will be here at the Summer Summit over these next 3 days. So thanks again, and we look forward to keeping the conversation going.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And if you would love to learn more about our platform, please contact Nate at nate@pmptc.com or Connie at connie@pmptc.com. And I want to thank you, Jonathan, for supporting me on the back end to make the whole event super smooth. And thank you very much for everybody for joining us today. And I will see you in our next event.